I'm your host, Chloe, and welcome to Whispers of Southern Ohio. Tonight, we're venturing deep into the wooded hollows and shadowed hills that define our corner of Appalachia. We're not alone on this journey. With us is Mark Rowe, a field researcher and author who has spent years documenting the strange and unexplained phenomena of this region. Mark, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Chloe. There's no place quite like Southern Ohio when the sun goes down. The stories feel older here, more patient.
They certainly do. And tonight we're talking about a particular kind of story, one that walks on two legs, just out of sight, a figure that has been seen for generations. We're talking about the humanoid and ape-like cryptids of our state.
The Ohio grassman, the nightwalkers, figures that are as much a part of this landscape as the oak and hickory trees.
They start with a sound, a branch snapping just beyond the firelight.
Or a sharp, percussive knock against a tree, echoing from a ridge you thought was empty.
Then a feeling, the kind that makes the hair on your arms stand up.
The sudden, unshakable certainty that you're being watched from the shadows.
Something tall, something silent.
Something that's been here long before us, and will likely be here long after we're gone.
Mark, let's start with the most well-known of these figures, the Ohio grassman. For listeners who might be familiar with the term Bigfoot, how does our regional legend differ?
That's the crucial question. While both are large, bipedal, ape-like creatures, the Appalachian grassman has a different feel to it. The lore here is older, more woven into the settler history. It's less of a reclusive, gentle giant like the Pacific Northwest narrative often suggests. The grassman is described as more territorial, more primal. The name itself comes from reports of these creatures building nests or shelters out of tall grasses and woven branches.
Building shelters, that's fascinating. It implies a different level of intelligence or behavior.
Exactly. And the historical roots run deep. Long before it was called grassman, there were accounts from early farmers and hunters of what they called wild giants or wood boogers. They were described as huge, hair-covered men who would sometimes steal livestock or raid cornfields. These weren't just monster stories. They were treated as a genuine hazard of living on the frontier.
And these stories are heavily concentrated in southeastern Ohio, aren't they? In places like Ross, Hocking, and Vinton counties.
They are, and it's no coincidence that this is the most rugged, densely forested part of the state. The landscape itself is a character in these stories. The steep hills, the deep, dark ravines, the endless caves and hollows. It's a perfect environment for something to remain hidden, for something to watch, unseen.
Right, the landscape.
The modern sightings echo the old ones, but the context is changed. It's not farmers losing chickens anymore. It's hikers in the Hocking Hills who hear heavy bipedal footsteps pacing them from just inside the tree line.
Or people driving on a back road at night, their headlights catching a tall, shadowy figure crossing the road in two impossible strides.
Precisely. And the behaviors reported are remarkably consistent. The most common is what researchers call wood knocking, a sound like a baseball bat hitting a tree, often answered by another knock from a different direction. It's believed to be a form of communication or a territorial warning.
A warning? That's chilling. And what about other behaviors? I've read reports of stone throwing.
Yes, that's another classic calling card. Campers will report small pebbles or sometimes quite large rocks being thrown into their campsite from the darkness, never aimed to hit, but to intimidate, to say, "You're too close, leave." There's also the heavy breathing heard just outside a tent, or the eerie silence that falls over the woods right before an encounter. All the crickets and frogs just stop.
In your own research, Mark, you've interviewed dozens of locals. Is there a particular account that stands out to you?
There are many, but one from an old deer hunter in Vinton County has always stuck with me. He was sitting in his tree stand around dusk, a time he described as the gray hour. He said the woods went completely silent.
That eerie silence again.
He felt that familiar prickle on his neck and scanned the woods. About 70 yards away, standing partially behind a massive oak, was a figure. He said it was at least 8 feet tall, broad as a refrigerator, and covered in dark matted hair. But it was the eyes that got him. He said they were intelligent. It wasn't an animal. It just stood there, watching him, perfectly still.
Just silent observation.
For what felt like an eternity. He said he never even fought to raise his rifle. There was no aggression, just this profound sense of presence. He felt like an intruder in its home. Eventually, it just turned and melted back into the shadows without a sound. He packed up, climbed down, and never hunted in that spot again.
That story captures the essence of it, doesn't it? That mix of fear, but also a strange kind of respect.
It does. In Appalachian communities, there's a deep-seated understanding that you share the woods. There are things out there that are older and wiser than you. You don't provoke them. You give them their space. These humanoid cryptid stories are an extension of that. They're a modern expression of a very old belief.
The belief that the forest watches back.
Exactly. The endurance of these legends isn't just about a possible undiscovered primate. It's about our relationship with the wild.
That idea of a shared space, of respecting the unknown, is so powerful. Mark, earlier you mentioned another name alongside the grassman, the night walkers. That term feels even more sinister. Are these the same creatures, or are we talking about a different phenomenon entirely?
That's an important distinction, and it's where the folklore gets even more complex. While the grassman is typically seen as a physical, albeit undiscovered animal, the night walkers are often described in more spectral, almost supernatural terms. The accounts are rarer and far stranger.
So, Mark, what do these stories really tell us about Southern Ohio's landscape and its culture? It seems to be more than just a monster hunt.
I believe they are a reflection of the land itself. Southern Ohio is a place of contrasts. It's gentle and beautiful, but also rugged and unforgiving. The woods can feel inviting one moment and deeply menacing the next. The grassman or the night walker embodies that duality. It is the spirit of the untamed wilderness staring back at us.
It's a personification of the wild. That connects so deeply with regional superstition and lore. There's an old saying that you don't whistle in the woods at night because you don't know what might whistle back.
Right. These stories serve as cautionary tales. They remind us that for all our technology and development, there are still places where we are not in control, where we are guests at best. These sightings persist because that wildness persists. As long as there are dark hollows and unexplored ridges, there will be stories about what lives there.
And what about the people who report them? What does it say about them?
I think it says they're paying attention, whether what they saw was a flesh and blood creature, a misidentification, or something else entirely. They experienced a moment where the veil between our world and the wild world grew thin. They felt that ancient presence in the woods, and in a world that's increasingly paved over and predictable, that experience is powerful. It's a reminder that mystery still exists.
It is a reminder that some whispers are carried on the wind, through the trees, from a time long before our own. Mark, this has been an incredible look into a part of our state's folklore that is so often misunderstood. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Chloe. It's important to keep these stories alive. They're part of who we are in this part of the country. Thank you for joining me and Chloe on Whispers of Southern Ohio. If you'd like to explore more of my work, you can follow me on my Amazon author page at amazon.com/author/Mark H. Rowe and visit me at markhrowe.com for more stories, books, and updates. Until next time, keep your lantern close and your curiosity closer.